Yo, peace and blessings. Peace, blessings, love, and light. Yah, the Most High, shine down on and in the lives of all of the Creator's righteous children, resurrecting as gods on earth. I believe we are resurrecting as gods on earth, even though we're getting a lot of pushback from these blind folks, these unwoke folks, even these folks claiming to be woke, and they actually sleepwalking. So, I'm like getting these downloads from ancestors this morning, and I heard some of them say, hey, talk to the children about Ascension. Talk to the babies about Ascension. And I was like, Ascension? Ascension? What y'all talking about, Ascension? It was like, because a lot of the babies, a lot of the children, they believe, that Jesus ascended up into the heavens. They believe that a man floated from earth up into space. You need to explain to them what ascension really is. And then I heard some other ancestors like, yeah, please explain to them what ascension really is, because some of us are responsible for teaching them that a white man floated from the earth up into space. And now that we're on the other side and we see what ascension really is, yeah, we need you to talk to the children about ascension, please. I was like, okay, I got you. I think I can do this. But I need y'all to keep in mind, though, that, I had some disobedient ancestors. And I'm going to tell it. I know I hear some of them, in my ear, like, well, why you want to go that direction? But I just need people to know. Listen, y'all, I had some ancestors that disobeyed their ancestors. I have some ancestors whose ancestors told them, don't you marry that white girl. Don't you marry that white boy. And they went ahead and did it anyway. Polluted the bloodline. And it's like, well, why are you telling us that? I need people to understand that the reason why we don't have all of our ancestral memories, like when we come back down here, the reason why we don't have all of our memories from the past previous lives is because we've been mixing our bloodlines. We've been polluting our bloodlines. Therefore, those of us that started out as manifestations of the universe, having our DNA, our bloodline developed in the universe, and then later being planted onto this planet, if that particular bloodline was never mixed with those that were here, that the earth produced, if that bloodline did not mix with the ones that the earth had produced, and then I'm gonna explain ascension, but let's say you pass away, you ascend, and then you come back further down your bloodline, you would still have your memories from the very first time that you came upon this planet. Every time you come back down here, you would have the memories of your previous lives if that particular bloodline that was developed in the universe had never mixed bloodlines with these down here, with these earth animals. So I'm saying that because I need people to understand that, the downloads that I get, they're not as strong as they could have been if I had not have had disobedient ancestors mixing their bloodline. When I be conveying these messages, I don't feel like I'm conveying them 100% effectively because of the bloodline pollution that's in my bloodline. You know what I'm saying? Like when I hear the downloads and everything, my information is not coming forth like bow. My information is coming forth like blink your eyes really fast, like that. That's how, you know how you see how you see and then you don't see and then you see and you don't see and you see and you don't see. That's how my downloads are coming, because my bloodline has been polluted. My bloodline wasn't polluted. My information will be coming like the, you know, the staring contest. You like when you stare at somebody and you don't blink and you can see and you can see and you can see real strong. That's how it would be if my bloodline had not been polluted. I know that I'm a descendant of the original, of the manifestations of the universe, because of the DNA, you know, that's showing on my forehead. I have the seal of the gods on my forehead. The seal of God on your forehead is not the number 777 written on your forehead. The seal of God is not you saying, I'm a child of God, and then, you know, you walking around pointing your fingers at all these people that you think that you're more righteous than. The seal of God is a DNA trait that shows up on your forehead, and not your actual forehead. Forehead meaning your outer head. Your DNA, which is on the inside, it shows a particular trait on the outside of your head that everybody can see. That when people look at you, they're like, oh, that is an original, that is a descendant of the original people that came down from the universe. Those of us that were born or that come from the water above, you know, we have DNA trait on our ears. And if you look really closely at, you know, the speck that is on the white of our eyeball, if you look at it really closely with a light, you'll see that it's a 5-point star. A 5-point star on the white of your eye that orbits the eye lens, like how the North Star orbits the moon. It's like the universe, you know, endorsed. It's like an endorsement from the universe. Like, this is one that has been manifested in the, this is one that has been developed in the universe and then manifested onto the earth or into the earth. Same thing with that tiny hole that's over your ear. The scientists call these tiny holes, I have it on both ears. Some of us have it over both ears. A lot of us have it just over one ear. It's a tiny hole. You might have it over one of your ear. And then there's those of us that got it over both. Scientists call it pre-auricular sinus. Pre-auricular sinus. It's a tiny hole over the big hole, your ear hole. Your ear hole is the big hole, and there's a tiny hole that is over it. The tiny hole orbits the big hole the same way that the North Star orbits the moon. And I honestly believe that these tiny holes, this tiny hole that we have over our ears, is a way that helps us to hear ancestors above. It's almost like another form of hearing. You know, it's like when ancestors are sending us downloads and everything. Of course, you know, you hear it, you know, in your heart, like in the center of your chest, you know, where your heart and your lungs is. Like when you breathe, it's like you can sense them like right in here, but it's also like you can hear them up in here too, like in between, you know, these two holes on your head. All right, but at any rate, yeah, okay, all right. Ancestors is like, yo, talk to them about Ascension. We didn't tell you to talk to them about all of that. I just feel like, you know, since I'm down here in the flesh, I gotta kind of like lay things out for the flesh people so they can understand the spirit a little bit better. That's the only reason why I was doing that. Okay, y'all. All right, so Ascension. There was no dude named Jesus on this planet that was standing on the earth and then floated up into heaven, you know, like he was being beamed up to the Star Trek Enterprise. That is a Hollywood movie. That is not how we ascend into the heavens. That is not how they ascended into the heavens. So when I say they, I'm talking about Jesus. Jesus is not an individual. Jesus are those people, and I've said this many times on these videos, Jesus is all of those people who were under the banner of the Ankh cross over there in that East African territory. From Tanzania all the way up to southern Iraq. Tanzania, Kenya, Ethiopia, Sudan, Egypt, where Palestine is, over to southern Iraq. Everybody that was under the banner of the Ankh cross and had this seal in their forehead that I told y'all about, all of them were a Jesus. The Phoenician Hebrew definition for the English word Jesus, you're gonna see the words life and living, and that's what the Ankh cross means. So what ascension really is when you pass away, when you die, and you give up your last breath, or you breathe your last breath, you exhale your last breath, you exhale your carbon monoxide. What? Why are you driving next to me, man? Why are you driving next to me, man? You gonna drive up and then you slow down. I don't like it when folks be doing that. When you breathe out your carbon monoxide, that last breath, it goes into the green life, because green life, they survive off of our carbon monoxide. Green life, the trees, the plants, the bushes, the grass. Genesis chapter 1, verse 29. Every herb bearing seed lives off of our carbon monoxide the same way that we live off of the oxygen that they produce. They produce oxygen, we breathe that in, and then we exhale carbon monoxide and they breathe that in. And when they breathe that in, they spit that off into the atmosphere where they receive the photon energy. The photon energy is the energy that the sun spits out into the universe. When the sun spits out photon energy that it got from the universe, them photons go throughout the universe. When they come to the planet, they show up as sun rays. The photon energy shows up as sun rays on this planet. And all of the green life, Genesis chapter 1, verse 29. Every herb bearing seed, and it shall be meat unto you. All of the green life, they take them sun rays, or that photon energy, and they do photosynthesis. And that photosynthesis is what causes them to release oxygen for us to breathe. And then we breathe it in, and then we exhale carbon monoxide, and the green life emits that carbon monoxide into the atmosphere. And this is when ascension takes place. Now, this is the thing ancestors really want y'all to understand about ascension. The less your bloodline is polluted, and I'm talking to those of y'all that have the seal of the gods in y'all forehead. I'm talking to y'all that have pre-auricular sinus. That tiny hole that orbits your ear hole the same way that the North Star orbits the moon. You got that 5-point star somewhere on the white of your eye that orbits your eyelids, like how the North Star orbits the moon. I'm talking to y'all. This is what ancestors need y'all to understand about ascension. The less polluted your bloodline is, the faster you ascend back up to the universe, and the faster you come back down here. Now, if your bloodline is like heavily polluted, you know, the deeds that, you know, have been done in the physical bodies of your ancestors, even you. Some of y'all, you know, a lot of us, I'm included. You know what I'm saying? When we were born, you know what I'm saying? We were born blind. We were born into the sin that our ancestors committed. And we were shaped by the iniquities, you know, of this society that we were born into. We didn't awaken, or the scales didn't fall off of our eyes until, you know, later on in life, you know, where like some of our memories from previous lives started coming back to us. So even in our blind state, some of us even made, you know, mistakes. Well, I don't know, man, because I didn't make those mistakes. Like, I didn't make children with the opposite race. So it's like, you know, my memories were there, but it was on a subliminal level. It's like, I always knew that we're not supposed to do that. I had family members that were doing that, you know, marrying outside of the race, making babies with, you know, those outside of the race. But there was always something inside of me that was like, we're not supposed to do that. It ain't got nothing to do with hate. It's just, it's not natural. It was like something inside of me was always telling me, yo, that's not natural. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we supposed to love them like we love ourselves, but we ain't supposed to be making no babies with them. It's like I always knew that. So, you know, maybe y'all didn't make that particular mistake. You know, y'all didn't do those particular deeds, but there are other deeds, you know, that, you know, we did with our bodies that we were not supposed to be doing. Like, some of y'all started smoking cigarettes. I ain't really have an appetite for cigarettes. Some of y'all started getting into liquor drinking. I've never been much of a drinker, man. Some of y'all, you know, got into using real heavy drugs, you know, crack, cocaine. I never really had the desire for none of that. Some of y'all was doing heroin. I ain't had a desire for that. But what I'm saying is when it comes down to your ascension, if you have done certain deeds, you know, to your body, it's going to slow down how fast your last breath ascends back up into the universe. But either way, when you give up your last breath and green life receives your last breath, receives your carbon monoxide, and sends it back up into the universe, your ascension is not going to, depending on how polluted you are, or how many deeds you did in your body, you know, the speed of you ascending up into the universe and then coming back down here on the planet is going to be affected. But keep this in mind. Well, it's like I hear it, but I don't know how to explain that. I don't know how to explain that part. It's what I'm hearing is you could easily end up inside of an animal. Your last breath can easily end up inside of an animal. Like, when you're ascending very slowly back up to the universe, keep in mind that, you know, the photon energy is always hitting this planet. And so in your ascension, your photon energy, not your photon energy, your carbon monoxide, your last breath can hit that photon energy and get hit into the green life, or the green life will hit it, and like the insects and the animals will breathe you in, and you know, for moments, you know, you can enter into a rabbit, you can enter into a dog, you can enter into a deer, you can enter into a bear. The animals basically have access to your last breath. This is where that whole thing of like reincarnation comes into play. You know, you'll see, you know, birds and animals, you know, acting like they got like human nature and everything. That's just them picking up on the last breath or the carbon monoxide of somebody that gave up their last breath. But know that your ascension is still taking place. You will always encounter, hitting animals, even people. There are even, members of your family, you might tap into, or they might tap into you. You're going to always be on that rotation until you get up to the universe. So basically what I'm saying is you yourself don't come back further down your bloodline until you actually get back up to the universe and you go through that cleansing process, that purification process. Everybody goes through the sun. Everybody goes into the lake of fire. How long you actually stay in the lake of fire is what everybody should be concerned about, especially us. How much time are you going to spend in that purification process before you come back down here? It's a process you don't want to spend too much time there. You don't want to spend too much time in that purification. You hope that you will not have to spend too much time in that purification process. That is actually the lake of fire. There are those that go into the lake of fire and they don't come out. And they don't come out because these are those that were not supposed to be mixing bloodlines with us. And they ended up, getting access to an area that they ain't even supposed to be in. And when they get up to the universe, they find out that, oh, shoot, we wasn't supposed to be mixing bloodlines, but by that time, it's too late. Depending on the level of pollution, depending on the level of deeds that were done, the amount of deeds that were done, and we can see it here on the planet. You see that the planet, heaven is not on earth. There are a lot of these who feel that what they doing is what is to be done. That scripture, there is a way that seemeth right unto man, but the end thereof is the way of death. There is a scripture in the Bible also that says, it is appointed unto man once to die and then the judgment. The judgment is whether you will return back down here to finish the job of trying to resurrect the kingdom of heaven on earth, or if your particular bloodline is going to have to go extinct because you just not getting it. You just not understanding what your purpose is. Every time you come down here, you ain't doing what you're supposed to be doing. And the judgment is, well, since you ain't getting it, when you get up there and go through that purification process, chances are you ain't gonna make it out of the sun. You'll go into the sun, you'll go into the lake of fire, but because you just ain't been getting it, you just ain't been understanding, the importance of this bloodline on earth, the sun just holds on to you. You're not allowed to come back down here. So, I think I've explained the ascension. When they talk about, Jesus is going to come back. Jesus is going to come back. The way that you come back down here is, when you give up your last breath and it goes into the green light and you ascend up into the universe, you go through the purification process, you come back down here on the photon energy. The photon energy that hit this planet, that shows up as sun rays, goes into these trees, and when your mother gives birth to you, you come out in another physical form. Because keep in mind, your mama's breathing the same oxygen. Your ascension, how fast you ascend, how slow you ascend, your ascension determines how fast you come back down here. Your ascension determines how fast you come back further down your bloodline. Hopefully your bloodline ain't too polluted. Hopefully the deeds that are being done in this particular bloodline, in your particular bloodline, hopefully the sins of bloodline mixing ain't been done so much, you know, to the point where it takes thousands of years for you to return. It took, like, I had to admit it, took 3,000 years. 3,000 years to come back. I didn't realize that until, like, what, like 2007? 2007 is when I woke up and realized, well, I woke up in 2007, but, you know, I was still like, you know how it is when you wake up, you know what I'm saying? You, like, kind of still laying there in the bed and you rubbing your eyes and, you know, you getting ready to get up out the bed. That was 2007. And then, you know, you get out the bed, you know, you start getting your wits about you, you start getting your bearings and everything. So I say about maybe 2010, 2012 is when I got my bearings and realized, like, God dang, it took like a whole 3,000 years to come back down here. But look, I mean, look at my skin, man. Look at my skin. This is just how much ancestors been, you know, all right, man, I'm gonna tell it. What I was gonna say is, like, look at my skin. This is a result of ancestors, you know, disobeying the bloodline. Unfortunately, I was one of the ones in the past that made the mistake of, you know, mixing bloodlines with folks. But I was in the same situation then that I am in today. But in this lifetime, I understand, yo, don't, like, on a subconscious level, there was something telling me, yo, don't do that again. I didn't hear the words again. It's just like in my subconscious, there was just something saying that just because you see your family members doing it, don't you do that. Don't you do that. Basically, what I was witnessing is what I caused. The family members that I see that are doing it, I have to admit, I'm the one that's responsible for doing that. I might be Samson. I might be biblical Samson. The story of Samson, that might be me. I might be Samson. That whole story might be about me. Not listening to my mom and my dad. Fell in love with this Greek woman. She captured my heart. I couldn't let go of her. And that sin caused me some problems. Took 3,000 years to come back down here to undo that mistake. Come back down here to these descendants and let them know that, hey, go read the story of Samson. We ain't supposed to be doing that. Yes, we are supposed to. We are 3/4 miles. We are the gods. US 36. God is love. Yes, we are supposed to love these, but we are not supposed to be mixing this bloodline and making babies with them. But the overall message is ascension. I was just basically told to explain to y'all ascension, and for y'all people that have come up in Christianity to believe what I'm telling you about ascension. Don't be believing the story about, you know, this dude, you know, came up out the grave or came out of the tomb and then people saw him float off into space. That is a metaphor. of what it is that I just explained to you. The reason why they know that this particular individual or those people, the reason why they know that these people ascended the way that I told y'all, the reason why people knew that these people ascended into the heavens and returned is because of what had happened in 79 AD. Go read Matthew chapter 24.
US 36.
In Matthew chapter 24, they are telling the people what is going to happen if you do not let our people go. If you do not release this particular bloodline and allow this bloodline to go off back into their ancestors' land, if you do not allow this particular bloodline to go back to their ancestors' land so that they can purify this bloodline and so that they can be rulers over themselves, if you do not allow this particular bloodline to separate itself from you, you are going to run into wrath from the universe. These manifestations of the universe that are here on this planet, if you do not allow this particular bloodline to separate from you and purify itself and get back to being gods on earth, you are going to run into wrath from the universe. And in 79 AD, what they said in Matthew chapter 24, in 79 AD, that's exactly what happened. It was another Sodom and Gomorrah situation where people were getting turned into stone. To this very day, they are laying there in that territory. They are laying there in stone. They were turned into stone, just like the Sodom and Gomorrah story. This is what was being said in Matthew chapter 24 in the days of the Roman Empire. This is how they know that Jesus ascended. And remember what I told y'all. Jesus is not an individual. Jesus is all of the citizens under the banner of the Ant Cross in East Africa. These manifestations of the universe are here on earth, over there in East Africa. The descendants of those that were manifestations of the universe in the New Testament, they were saying that, look, we have to separate from the Roman Empire. We got to get away from the Greek influence. We got to purify this bloodline so we can get back to being gods on earth. And this is going to be the result if you don't allow us to do it. The stories of Noah, I'm not going to get into it, but the stories of Noah, the story of the Exodus with Moses, even the story of Nehemiah. There was always some type of destruction or conflict, major conflict that came as a result. I mean, there was always a consequence that was paid. Whether you let the people go or whether you kept them, there was always a consequence that had to be paid because the bloodlines were not supposed to be mixed. And the universe, is conscious. I don't care what nobody says. The universe is conscious. And its way of trying to let humanity down here know, mainly to us, a way that the universe is trying to reiterate to us to not mix our bloodline with these earth animals, to maintain purity of this bloodline. That is the reason why there's a consequence either or. Whether they let us go or not, there's still going to be a consequence for doing it, so that those of us that come back down here won't do it again. That we will remember, the consequences that happened before. But it's like when you mix the bloodline, you don't have the memories like how you should have them. We're doing ourselves a disservice when we mix bloodlines and then we come back down here and we don't fully have our memories from the past And then we end up repeating some of the same mistakes. Hopefully, a lot of us are like me, that, it's like the memories was there. I was acting on them, not realizing that I was acting on them. Making sure that I wasn't, making babies with the outside or other nations. The woman that I made babies with, she has auricular sinus. I cannot say that I knowingly did that. I believe on a subconscious level I made children with her because she is of that bloodline. She is the one that I was supposed to be making babies with. My son was born with that. Now, what was the last thing that I said? I guess I'm done. Am I done? I said enough. Why did I feel like I quenched the spirit, man? I feel like maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't quench the spirit. All right, so I think I've explained Ascension. But I will reiterate, the way that people knew that Jesus, or these people that were under the banner of the Cross, these manifestations of the universe, the way that they knew that these people came back is because of what happened in 79 AD. That was them. That was them that caused that Mount Vesuvius eruption. Their energy ascended up into the universe, and it took about 79 years for them to send payback to the people that didn't listen, to the people that caused them, to be put in jail, the people that caused them to be put to death. It took them like about 79 years, to transmit that energy of vengeance back onto the planet. Because, like I said, we're manifestations of the universe. The sun gets its energy from the universe. Do you want angry ancestors that are in the universe to put a particular energy in the sun, and then the sun transfers that angry energy onto the planet, and then make the planet do like what happened in 79 AD? Because that's what's getting ready to happen again. Yes, it's getting ready to happen again. Based on everything that I'm experiencing, I'm seeing a lot of things repeating themselves. A lot of the stuff that happened in the days of Rome, I'm seeing them happening right now. So, yeah, there's gonna be another 79 AD situation happening right here in America. Trust and believe. How fast will I ascend into the universe and be able to send that vengeance back onto the planet? And not just me. I should say, how fast will we ascend back to the universe and send that energy of vengeance back onto this planet? Back to the very country that was doing the same thing that Rome was doing. Used our own people against us. We came to our own people did not understand, they did not know who we was, they rejected us. And because they used our own people against us, our own people gonna end up suffering and dying with these people that they were worshiping, that they gave more love to. They gave more love to these foreigners than they gave to their own people that was trying to get them up out of this mess. Okay, I done said too much. All right, so peace, blessings, love, and light. Yah, the Most High, shine down on and in the lives of all of the Creator's righteous children, resurrected as gods on earth. He that has an ear to hear, he that has an ear to hear what the ancestors are saying to your church, Y'all know what time it is. Ancestors protection be around y'all. Live righteous.